All right, everybody, here I thought I would show my setup of the 5K Growatt inverters and how I wired them, and give you guys some close-ups as to how I did things. That's one of my big pet peeves with a lot of these videos, is there's not enough close-ups as to what's actually going on. So I've got my entire house running right now on these two 5K inverters in parallel, running off of 4 of these batteries, all purchased from Signature Solar. So let's get into it here real quick. Let's see, here's the panel, which you're all familiar with if you're watching this. We're running 5.7% of that inverter and about 8% on this inverter. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the inside of this and the proper wiring there. So I'm going to skip that and go right to the breaker box, follow everything down to the breaker box. So over here, we have it coming out of one inverter, going down here into a 50 amp breaker. Sorry about the light. I'm using a phone for this. I don't really have a good video camera. And the second inverter coming out here, down into this breaker, 50 amp breaker. And the breaker above that is a 25 amp breaker, which goes to the auto transformer. And there's a close-up of the wiring there. As you probably already know, you need to make sure you keep all your line 1s and line 2s and neutrals in exactly the same places. As you can see, red, 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 all identical. Black, 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 all identical. So one of the big questions I had was, what size breakers am I using for these? The Growatt manual has 50 amps for these. But when talking to Signature Solar, I got 3 different answers as to what size breaker to use for the auto transformer. The specs do have it at a 24 amp max, so I went with a 25 amp breaker. On this side, I just have some breakers wired up to these receptacles on this side. Show you that. See, they're all working well. Let me throw the meter up here so I can show you that we're getting 120 volts. Let's see if I can do this with one hand from each leg. There you go, 120 there. About 120 right there. So the auto transformer works great. And currently we have, let's see what it's pulling here. Oh, barely anything. 0.067 amps. So the thing's barely working. Okay, so at this point, we have the power coming into this box here. And these are just going over to the receptacle, and I have one of these wired up that goes to a bedroom upstairs. I did that before I had the whole thing figured out, just to test it. So then, right here we have the 2 hot lines going out, and over here we have the neutral going out. And where they're going is over to this little breaker box. And the reason I have this breaker box is because I originally had a generator hookup for the house, and I did not want to lose that. I wanted to still have that option. So this orange line here is my generator hookup on the outside of the house, and that comes over here to this 30 amp breaker. And the inverters all come to this 50 watt breaker from this box, from the big hots coming up there. I believe I used 6 gauge wire for that. And they come over to here. And from here, let's give you a shot of what I did there. We have the two huts. It's kind of tucked back in there. You can't see it on one side. And then we have one on this side and the neutral. And they are going up to my main breaker box. Now, I'm not an electrician, so this is just how I did it. I'm not saying this is the right way. So they come out of that box down there and go into this breaker here. And that's a 60 amp breaker. I just needed that to be bigger than 50 or bigger, since that's what the inverters are running on. So when the front is on this, there is an interlock switch up here that does not let you have grid power and inverter power or generator power at the same time. So it protects the linemen if they're working out there and there was a power outage. Let me give you another shot of that. Sorry about the shadows. Again, I'm in very cramped space in my basement here. All right, so as far as the solar goes, I do not have that hooked up yet because it's winter. But I have this switch here that will come in on each side. Two sets of panels will come in, one going to each inverter, the other one going across over to here. We have the battery power coming down into these terminal blocks. So each inverter is coming to each one of those terminal blocks, and then the power is coming down into the server rack case here to all the batteries down here. Let me give you a close-up of some of the stuff down here. Hold on. All right, so now we got a little better view here, but see, Signature Solar has great videos on how you hook everything up here with the communication cables, so I'm not going to go into that. They do a much better job. I have all the grounds. We're kind of daisy chained to each one, and then that comes up here to a screw on the back of the rack. Since it's all metal, it should all work fine. Then I have that going up and around to this little terminal block here, which has both inverters in it and the battery rack. So here we go. Here, one of the funny things, I bought these batteries at 2 different occasions, and if you notice here, Chinese stuff, you know, they forgot to put the R on enter, where the original first ones I bought, they all have the R on there. So you never know what you're going to get from China, but they all work great so far. Also did get the charger for the 48 volt batteries because I don't have the solar right now, and needed a way to get that tested. All right, so that's about it. Hopefully I cleared up some questions people might have on how these are hooked up and how I hooked it up. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try my best to answer them. All right. We'll see you on the next one. When I get the solar panels up, I'll do a video on that too. Hopefully we'll get a lot more videos going out to this channel. I'm just now starting. All right. Thanks, everybody.